Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We are here in what I call the baby barn, and there's no babies in there. There's absolutely no babies in there right now. So, no babies. We're not looking at babies. What we're doing is setting some hatching eggs. We are setting quail hatching eggs. So, I'm going to walk you through how I do that. If you're wondering why there's only 6, it's because these are from a very specific hen, and that very specific hen is the one I want the babies from. So her eggs are going in this incubator by themselves, and she only laid 6 this week, so that's what we're hatching. I don't want to mix them up with any other hen because she is a beautiful color, and I want only her eggs. So her eggs are the ones going in here. So the first thing you need when you're going to hatch is an incubator. I will talk more about incubators, and I'll even start doing incubator reviews at some point, but I am using a Brinsea Maxi II Advance. It is one of my favorite incubators. It is really, really accurate. I like that it does the automatic turner. It has really good temperature settings. It's very, very accurate. Okay? I am very excited about how accurate it is. And I've been using them for years now. This one's several years old, so this is not a new machine. But it still works like a charm. Okay? So that's what I'm using. You will, of course, be using an incubator of your choice. My choice is this. I also have a couple of Brinsea bigger ones, the Ovation Ecos I actually have. None of my incubators have humidity control. And there's a reason for that. Where I am, it's freaking humid. I do not have to add water to my incubators. You may or may not have to. But because I don't have to, I can cheap out and get an incubator that does not have humidity control. So it doesn't have automatic water and stuff like that. I can do that because I don't have to worry about humidity. Depending on where you live, you may have to. I will talk about what's called dry hatching in a different video. I'm just letting you know why I'm using a machine that doesn't require added water, that doesn't have humidity control, and why I don't add any water. So let's get started. We have our 6 eggs. So these eggs, my birds have boys with them. So this particular hen has a boyfriend, I guess, that I picked for her. And he is beautiful and she is beautiful, and so I'm going to hatch their babies. If you do not have a male in with your female, your eggs will not be fertilized. Okay? These are fertilized eggs. I have done a test hatch already. I know she's throwing fertilized eggs. And by test hatch, I just mean another hatch. Okay? So today, our job is to set these eggs. So the first thing you want to do is look at your eggs. Make sure they don't have any obvious cracks, okay? So these ones don't. These are pretty good. There was a 7th egg that she laid, but it had a pretty big crack in it. Not worth trying to save. So I discarded that one. That's why we only have 6. So examine each of your eggs in detail. Make sure they're not super dirty. Make sure they're not all gooey. Make sure they're intact and looking good. These look very good. So the next thing you want to do is take a look at your incubator and see how you're supposed to set your eggs. So with this style incubator, I'm supposed to lay them on their sides. That is generally how I like to incubate. Even in my ovations, my Brinsea ovations, they are designed to incubate standing up. I really like incubating lying down. So even in those, unless I'm crammed for space, I will simply lie the eggs down in the turners instead of standing them upright. So this one is designed for on its side incubation. One little note, if you're hatching shipped eggs, I will do a separate post on shipped eggs. You should hatch them pointy side down, okay? So you should take your egg, put them in the turner, pointy side down, and leave them upright like that, because hatched eggs, shipped eggs hatch better when they're incubated upright. But I have the best success with my own eggs if they're on their sides. Okay, I typically get anywhere from 95 to 100% hatch rate if I put them on their sides. You may have to do a little experimenting to find out what works best for you. The next thing I'm going to add is a small thermometer. Now, this one, it has been calibrated in a lab. I know it's a little digital one, and usually we tell people, oh, you can't guarantee the accuracy of these little digital ones. You can if they've been calibrated in a lab. So look for a lab calibrated thermometer. I know Govee is a really popular brand, but it is not lab calibrated, and if you get 5 govies, you'll get 5 different temperatures. So if you don't know where to get lab calibrated thermometers, one of the places I would suggest you look, and I often look, is a laboratory supply store or your local university. Often they sell them. Okay, so try to get your hands on a lab calibrated thermometer, because that is what will work best to keep track of the temperature. Now, I don't have a problem with my incubator. I'm using a Brinsea Maxi II Advance, and I have zero problem with it being accurate. So if I set my temperature for 37.5 Celsius or 99.5 Fahrenheit, that's what it will be. But I don't take chances. I like to put a thermometer that also has a hydrometer on it to keep track of humidity, just in case, because I don't like to take chances and I never like to trust just one thing. So even if you have a really good incubator, get yourself an independent thermometer, which is what I have. So eggs are set, thermometer is in, cover that up. Put your lid on or close your incubator, whatever way you like to do that, however your incubator works. I don't plug it in beforehand. Again, I have tested these incubators. They work like a dream, a real dream. They are totally fine. I do not have to preheat them. Darwin is yelling for someone. Oh, she's yelling for Tristan. Awesome. Anyway, so I do not have to preheat them. I do not have to turn them on and let them run for a day and equalize and whatever. I just set everything and plug them in. If your incubator tends to fluctuate and needs time to get up to temperature and humidity, you absolutely should run your incubator at about 48 hours beforehand, just to make sure that your incubator is functioning properly. I don't have any worries with these. If you're interested in this particular machine, I will try to remember to include a link in the description to this exact one that I'm using. So, the little plug-in port is here, and I just plug that in. And it's going to beep because it's been unplugged. So it's like, oh my God, I don't have any power. Now it's like, oh, there we go. So the turner, we are going to turn off. So we do that by hitting the plus and minus buttons and then just looking for the T mode. And I turn the T mode off. Now, what you can do, save that. So follow your incubator instructions to do what I just did. I turned the turner off because I like to turn it off for a few days. So I'll turn that off for 3 days. And then after those 3 days pass, I will take it again and I will select my T mode and I will turn it on. Okay? So whatever you, I'll just set that back. There we go. So whatever you choose to do is what it will do for you. So this one I can have the turner set on, off, or automatic, which means at day 3 it'll stop turning. I use a separate hatcher, so I don't do that. Okay, and I will show you that later. So set your turn interval, follow your incubator directions. If you do not have this particular incubator, you'll be doing something different, which is why I'm not going to walk you step by step through setting your incubator. I will do that eventually when I do my incubator reviews, and I do intend to do them because I've had some incubators I just love, like this little guy, and I've had some incubators that really should have gone in the trash on day 1. So that is what we do now. Now we are absolutely going to ignore our quail eggs for 10 days. I'll come back on day 3, turn the turner back on. I'm not going to show you that because it's boring. So I will come back on day 3, turn the turner back on, but otherwise I'm not touching these eggs for 10 days. Then we'll come back and candle. So that's it for setting your eggs. And these incubators, the best thing about them is they are set and forget. So I don't add any liquid. This is the port where I would add water to keep humidity up in this incubator. I don't need to do that. It's so freaking humid that it's going to maintain 40% humidity even if the humidity outside drops. And 40% is exactly where I want to be for quail eggs. So that's what I want to do. Temperature-wise, you want to set your incubator to 99.5 Fahrenheit or 37.5 Celsius. Okay? whichever scale you're working in. I work in Celsius. That's why I like having these incubators, because they are in Celsius. Some incubators are only in Fahrenheit. And Celsius is more accurate, it's just easier to get an exact reading. So I always switch my incubators over to Celsius, just so that I get a really accurate lab kind of thermometer. Lab temperature, thermometer. Can't even talk. So that's why I have it set to Celsius, just because you do get a more accurate reading, more like you would in a lab. That temperature needs to stay pretty darn consistent, okay? So again, pop your thermometer in and check it at least twice a day. I check, even though I know these don't waver. These will sit at 37.5 Celsius for the entire time frame. Now, from the day 1 to hatch will be 17 days. We are going to have to candle at day 10 and do what I call lockdown at day 14. So we will come back to candle, come back again for lockdown, and then do a hatch video. It takes a while, I know, so it takes 17 days, which is a little bit of a drag if you're really impatient and you really want your babies. But that's how long it takes, okay? And it's pretty darn precise. If your temperature is 37.5 or 99.5 Fahrenheit, then they'll hatch pretty much dead on day 17, maybe day 18, okay? You don't want your thermometer, your temperature to vary. Your humidity could go up and down a little bit. I mean, as long as your humidity doesn't crash to below 20%, you're probably fine. As long as it doesn't spike above 50% during incubation, you're probably fine. Humidity is less important. Temperature is what will kill your chicks, okay? A temperature spike will kill them fast, and a temperature drop will retard growth and eventually kill them. So you're better with an incubator that runs a little bit too low than an incubator that runs a little bit too high. Too high, not good. So if you can't get your incubator exact, go for the low side. So go for a 99-degree Fahrenheit incubator instead of one that keeps shooting up to 101. So dial the temp back if you need to. All right? So that is what you do for setting your eggs. And again, temperature 37.5 Celsius, 99.5 Fahrenheit is ideal. Humidity somewhere around 40%, plus or minus is fine. That one doesn't have to be as specific. So that is how you set quail eggs. Now we have to literally ignore them. So you do want them turning. Turning is really important. I'm actually going to do a separate video talking about turning, talking about humidity, talking about temperature. This is just getting you started. This is what you do to get started. Now these get ignored for 10 days when we come back and we candle. You can actually see my candler laying there. Okay, that's my candler down there. It's on because I did check each of these eggs to make sure they didn't have large cracks in them. Who is making that noise? Oh, that's a dog. But I did candle each egg before. So I use this candler to candle each egg. I'll do candling in the next video. But I candled my eggs before incubation just to make sure there's not any large cracks. That's how I found the egg that did have a large crack. So that is it for today's video. Set your eggs, walk away, check your temp twice a day, which is what I will do, even though I know this incubator is dead accurate. So, my son is putting his dog to bed. Okay. So that is it for us here today at Andersen Acres. I hope you have good luck hatching your own Coturnix quail eggs. Remember, these settings only apply to Coturnix eggs because other quail have pretty much the same requirements, but they have different time frames for hatch. So if you're hatching Californians, for example, you could be waiting up to 23 days. We only have to wait 17. So good luck with hatching your quail. And we will come back in 10 days to candle these little dudes and see how they're doing. See you tomorrow.